Hello everyone, this is the next project, which is the Something Slice project. With this project, you're going to want to make sure that the object that you're choosing has a background. It's not the only thing that's in the image. You do want it, you don't want it too busy, but you don't want it too plain. Otherwise, there's not going to be enough in order to actually play around with, or there might be too much where it's not going to look realistic. I'm choosing this cow because I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to put cheese inside of it because obviously cheese comes from milk, milk comes from cows, hence cheese from cows. You don't necessarily have to have a pun like that. You just basically just have to have something that makes sense, that isn't something crazy. Like you don't want to put, like, I don't know, some random object inside something just to get this project done. You want some thought about it. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to open up my image. Then I'm going to make two copies of it. So I'm going to hit Command J twice. So this way I duplicate my layers. I'm going to hide the bottom two layers because I'm going to work with just this top one for the first step. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer mask. Remember, the layer mask is right down here on the layers panel. That means that now as I draw onto this image, make sure you click on the actual layer mask. I'm going to change it to black. Just make sure that you're on the paintbrush, which I was not. So I'm clicked on the layer mask. I have a black paintbrush. Notice that now it's basically kind of making a hole inside there. I do like to have a nice sharp edge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the elliptical tool. From grabbing the elliptical tool, it's going to give me a nice straight edge. I can move that around depending on where I start to put it in. I'm going to now invert the selection. The reason why I invert the selection is because that first circle basically is the inside of the circle. I want to color away the outside of the circle, so I invert it. Grab that black paintbrush. Now I'm just going to come up and down here. I'm going to get rid of up close to the sky in my case because I want to copy from over here. And I want this to kind of blend a little bit better. So that's why I'm doing that. So after I get a good amount done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit further than what I originally would want to get rid of, because then I'm going to deselect, Command D. I'm going to come back in with another elliptical. This time I'm going to paint on the inside of the circle. I want it to basically match the one that's already there. So I'm going to come a little bit over here. I'm going to again, actually I'm sorry, I'm not going to paint on the inside. I do want to invert the selection again, and that will create this, we're going to paint this area back over here. So instead of a black brush this time, I am going to hit a white brush, and that's going to bring this back. So I'm just going to bring back just the top of or the actual cow itself. I want to leave the top on and the bottom on, just so this way, again, when I use my clone tool, which is what we learned in the last project, that'll bring that back. And now I'm going to show you what to do next. The next thing you need to do is you need to place in another image. So as I said, I'm going to place in a piece of cheese. I downloaded a nice big block of Swiss cheese, and I'm going to place that inside here. I'm going to rotate mine just so this way it fits into it better. I don't have to worry about cutting it as much, so I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. I could either freeform rotate it, or I could go up here to rotate 90 clockwise or counterclockwise. I can use my various brushes in order to, or my brush selection tool in order to get rid of the background. I just have to make sure I rasterize my layer first, otherwise it's not going to work. Also, before you do that, make sure you're not out of the frame of view, otherwise it's going to leave a little bit of residual there, and you're going to have to wind up getting rid of it later on once you shrink your image. So it's better off moving it down a little bit, making sure that it's in the whole view of frame of view, and then go from there. After that, I am going to hit the perspective tool. The reason why I hit the perspective tool, which I actually have to get by holding down on this mesh that's down here above the magnifying glass, switch to perspective tool. That's going to allow me to make this cheese look like it's sitting inside. So basically I'm going to pick the one side of the actual cheese, and I'm going to bring that in and down towards each other, essentially creating like a little bit of a trapezoid. That's going to allow me to make that sit back and look like it has the correct perspective to be inside this cow. Now I'm going to move that in, and I'm going to move it underneath this top layer. You can see how now that sits behind it, so I can move it any which way I want. And then I'm going to add a mask to this as well, because now I'm going to use that mask in order to hide away some of this cheese so it's not all shown. Now the last step is the nice fun one. I'm going to bring this layer back. You're going to see that it's going to basically put the cow back, and you're going to be like, well, Anderson, it doesn't look like you did anything. So we're going to grab that clone tool that we learned in the last assignment. We're going to select an area that we want to copy from. I'm going to copy right along this horizon line, so this way I can match it over here. Before I do that, I'm going to add in actually a horizon line right here, a guide as a horizon line, so this way when I copy that over to the other side, it's easier. I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to find a spot over here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to just start working it in just like I did the other assignments. So you fade this in, and as you go, you'll notice that now that looks like that cow has a nice big open spot. If I want to, there's another new tool that you can work, which is this fire tool, or burn tool rather. From the burn tool, you're able to make that a little bit darker over here, just so this way the cheese itself looks like it has a little bit of a shadow, and then your project will look like it's sitting inside a little bit more. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll wind up posting another video just to clarify some things on this, but this is your video for the meantime. Let me know if you need any help.